Welcome to this exciting Unreal Engine 5.2 tutorial for complete beginners. If you've always wanted to dive into the world of game development, but have never used Unreal Engine before, then you've come to the right place. In this step-by-step tutorial, we will start from scratch and guide you through the process of downloading and installing Unreal Engine 5. Then we will explore the user interface, teach you how to navigate around the engine, and show you how to place and manipulate objects in the scene. But that's not all. We will also introduce you to basic modeling techniques, applying materials to your objects and using the powerful blueprint system to create a door that opens and closes. Lastly, we will add a god ray to your scene. So whether you are an aspiring game developer, a hobbyist, or simply curious about Unreal Engine 5, this tutorial is the perfect starting point. Learn to create an action game in Unreal Engine 5. Start the first lesson for free at unfgames.com. Welcome to Unreal Engine, a tool that will help you to develop the game you want by giving you a framework for graphics, coding, and a lot of cool things that will make your development much easier. The first thing you need to do is to just click on download. And as soon as you do that, you will go to a page where they tell you what kind of system requirements you need. You just need to scroll down and go to the download launcher. And as soon as you do that, you will download the Epic launcher. The next thing you need to do is to create an account. You can just click on sign in, and here you will have some choices. You can sign in with Epic, with Facebook, Google, whatever you want, or you can just sign up for a new account and you can choose which method you want for your account creation. This is the Epic Games Launcher, and if you play some games, you will be familiar with the store and the library, but we're focusing here on the Unreal Engine tab. In the news, you will see all the news related to Unreal Engine. Weekly spotlights, project spotlights, new things that are coming out, new games, new projects. All the news are here. Then if you go to samples, you will see projects that you can download and try them for free. So this is a great way if you want to learn something very specific, like for example, automotive or animation, or maybe you can try the Lyra if you want to make a complex game. You can just download them for free and try it on your own. The next one is the marketplace. This is really important because you can actually get thousands of assets paid, of course, but if you go here for free and then go for free for the month, you will be able to download 5 free assets for the month, and the next month you will have another free assets. So make sure you don't miss them out. The tab I want to show you is the library. Here you will have the engine versions. In our case, we're going to use the 5.2.0. You can add new version by clicking the plus icon and just choose any version you want. I'm going to click here. And if you want to access any previous project, you can just click in any of those projects and it will open the Unreal Engine editor. Next default is projects you have previously downloaded before, either the marketplace or the samples, and you can just add the files to your project or create a new project. Let's start by launching the 5.20. Just click here and you will be good to go. So this is the Unreal Engine project browser. Here you will see different presets. For example, you have games and you can choose which one you want, the first person game, third person, top down, or vehicle. You have film, you have architecture, automotive, and simulation. As you can see, Unreal Engine is used in a lot of different industries other than video games. But for our case, we will focus on games. So we will just click on games. And instead of starting from a template, we're going to choose the blank project. Here, you will see the location of where your Unreal Engine project will be saved. And here you will see the name of the project. I will call it my first UE project. You will also have the quality, like maximum or scalable. I will leave it at maximum. The target platform is the desktop, And I don't need the starter content for now. I will show you how to add it later. And just click create. As soon as you open the engine, you will have a window similar to this one. The first thing that will grab your attention is this big screen, which is the world. So this is the viewport. It's a representation of how your game will look like before you play it. In the right side, it's all the actors that are in the viewport. We will take a look at those later. For now, I will show you how to navigate inside Unreal. So if with my mouse, I can hold the right mouse click and I can just rotate around. While holding the right mouse click, you can press W to move forward, S to go back, A and D. Just like any game you have played on PC. The next thing is the middle mouse click. You can just pan around like this in 2 directions. The next one is the left mouse click. If you move it, you will see that you move like a spaceship. Just move around with the left mouse click. You will move in 2 directions, like moving forward and backward. My favorite method of navigating is using the right mouse click and use the WASD. You will see that I have a speed of which I can navigate. You can change the speed here with this number. You can go here, for example, I can go back to 64, and you will see that I move much faster. Or you can change the speed on the fly by holding the right mouse click, and the scroll wheel, you can just go down with the scroll wheel, just like this. Just press the scroll wheel, and you will be able to move faster or slower. So now that you have this, let's add an object here. On the top left corner, you will see a green plus icon. If you click here, you will see that you have a bunch of options that you can add. You have the basic, actors, and you have shapes. Let's drag a cube here. You will see that our environment is very big. And if I want to go here to the cube, it's a little bit hard. So what I can do is press F. And just by doing that, I am focused now in the object that I just press F. And I can just rotate around by holding the Alt and left mouse click, or the right mouse click and holding Alt at the same time. I can just zoom in and out. Let me move this here. What I just did was move the object using the gizmo. In 3D, it's very common to move objects by using the move tools, the rotate tools, and the scale tools. These can be found here. If I go here, you can move around. You can click here, you can rotate. Or you can go here and you can scale either in 1 direction or 2 directions if you want. But clicking here is not very common. What I usually do is to press W, E, R. By pressing W, I can just move around. I can press E to rotate. I can press R to scale, to make it bigger or smaller. I can press W again. And you will see that you have an icon here that says world and local. If you see the world icon, it means I'm using the world coordinates, which you can find here in the bottom left corner, sorry. Here you will see the gizmo. It's the same as this one, but if I go to local, it will be using the local coordinates. By moving this here, I can rotate around and move it to the local coordinates, depending on the rotation of this object. Now there is something that is happening while I'm doing this. If you notice in my right, there are some numbers that are changing. These are the properties panel. The property panel is basically all the information that you have for your object in your game. All the objects in the world have a transform property, which is the location, the rotation, and the scale of the object. As I move here, you will see that the properties are changing. So it means I can also change here by holding the left mouse click and can just move around. Or I can type a number like, for example, 500. And if I lose the sight of my object, I can just press F again to see where it is. I can use both ways. The next thing you want to do is to check or uncheck the grid. By default it's 10, but for example, you can put this one to 500, and you will see that my grid became much bigger. Now I can just move around my object like this, and it will snap to 500 units or 500 centimeters. Let's go back to 10. Or I can just uncheck this, and now I will move freely, where I can have a less precise move for my object. The same can be done for the rotation. By default is 10. You can change the number to anything you want, or you can uncheck this and you will have the snapping disabled and you can rotate to any degree you want. And the same for the scale. If you remove this, go to R for the scale, you will see that I can scale my objects like this. Awesome. So this is pretty much the basics of the viewport. The last thing I will show you is how to play your game. You see this green plus play icon? You can just play here, and you will play where your camera is at. And as soon as you do that, you can just play your game, just like this. So now that we know the basics, let's start by creating a new level. Let's create a new level now. We can go to File, New Level, and here I can just choose an empty level. Click Create. Do not save this. And now you will see this black screen. This means that we have a new world, but nothing is there. So the first thing you want to do is to add some lights. In Unreal Engine 5.2, there are better ways to add lights. Instead of going here and go to lights and drag one by one, for example, I can drag my directional light here. I can go there and maybe add my sky atmosphere. And little by little, I'm adding some sky into my environment. I can just delete those. You can go here to the outliner and press delete. But in Unreal Engine 5.2, there is a better way to do it. It's by using the environment light mixer. You can just click here and then go to create skylight, atmospheric light, sky atmosphere, volumetric cloud, and create height fog. And just by doing that, you will have all the things that your sky atmosphere should have. There are a couple of things I want to change here. If I go to my skylight, I should make sure I put real-time capture. And now I'm good to go. I'm just gonna create a floor. Now that we have our lights, let's save our level so we can access to it later. We can just press Ctrl S or go to File and then go to Save Current Level. And then you will see this window here. This is the content browser. Let's right click here into content and create a new folder called My First Project. And here I will put the name, the level 01. That's the name of my level. Let's just click save. And now my level is safe. Let's add a floor so we can have our player walk around. We can just click that green plus icon. And you can go to shapes and go to curve. And you could put something like this. But in Unreal Engine 5.2, instead of doing something like this, which is totally valid, you can delete this. You have different selection modes here. The first one is a selection, and then you can go to the modeling tab, which is automatically here in 5.2. So you can go here to modeling, and you will see a new window. I won't go through all of this. I just want you to know that you can create a box here. And with the default settings, I can just click here and I will have my box. Let's click accept. And the next thing I want to do is to model something. So I will go to the poly model, go to poly edit, go here, and then move around like this. You can just click here, click on this face, move it around, just like this. Then go to other face, click here, move around until you have like a little floor. So let's just move this like here. That should be enough. So let's click accept. And now we have a little floor for our game. If you want to go to the previous mode, you can just go to selection. And now you can just click play and you have your floor here. Before we continue to add more things, let's open the content browser. If you go to Window, go to Content Browser and choose one of them, you will see a list of folders that your project has. This is extremely important because this is how you will organize your project. You can also go to your level and press Ctrl space to open the content browser here, which is what I will do for the rest of the project most of the time. What I want to do is to add a character to my game. And in order to do that, I can go to Add, and then Add Feature or Content Pack. I can just choose a third-person character, click Add to Project. And as soon as I do that, you will see that I have new folders. I have my third-person folder, I have my level prototyping folder, and basically all the assets that I need to have my third-person game going on. If I play, nothing will happen because I haven't told the engine that I want to use that third-person game mode. So I can just press escape and I can go to World Settings. And here in the game mode override, I can just click here and then go to third-person game mode. So now when I hit play, you will see that I have my character here. But there is a little problem. While I can move my character around just by playing any other kind of game, I can just press escape. I can press play from here, and my character will fall, and I will continue to fall until eternity. And that is because I haven't told Unreal where I should start my game. In order to do that, I can just click plus, go to basic, and then go to player start. Then you will see an arrow here. That's the arrow where the player will look at. I can just rotate this like this. And now when I hit play, no matter where I am, even if I'm here, I can just hit play. My character will always start from here. Unless I fall down, of course. So now that we have a character, let's just try to create a simple level we can play on. In Unreal Engine 5.2, there are better ways to create levels. If you go here to the selection mode, you can change it to the modeling tab, and now you can go to Cube Grid. As soon as you click on this, you will see a grid in the world, and you will see a yellow block that I can just hold the left mouse click and paint, and if I press pull, I will pull the polygons up, and if I press push, I will push them down. So I can just press pull here, and if I want to create new geometry, I can just, for example, create a little bridge like this. I can just press pull. And if you don't want to click here, you can also use the E key or the Q key. So if I press E, I can just do something like this. And then I can just grab this, press E if I want, or Q if I want to remove them. Another mode you have is the corner mode. So I can just press this, for example, and I can go to corner mode, and you will see a corner in the streams that I can use. I can click on those and just press E to pull them down or push them down. Like pull them like this, click down, And then I can just click on this and press E. And now I can just select the sides, press E again, select this, press E, and just like that. I can also create some columns here, like pressing E like this if I want it, or like a little gate for my levels just by pressing E. It will connect automatically everything. And the good thing, everything has UVs. We will take a look at those later. And now you can just go here and adjust the level to your liking. If you want, you can just go here and press E. And now you can select all of those and go to the corner mode, select these 2 points and press Q. And now you have like a little ramp for your game if you want it. Let's click accept. And as soon as you do that, you will have a model that you can play with. So let's go back to the selection mode. And you can also use the shift 1 if you want. Like can go through shift 1, shift 5 to go through my modeling mode and my selection mode. I can click save and play. And now you will have a little level you can play with. And you can move around and you will have a character here. And here you can decide if you want to make things bigger or smaller, or you want to change the layout. And with the cube grid, it's extremely easy to do that. Let's add more content to our project. The easiest way is to Control Space to open our content drawer, click on Add, and then go to Feature our content pack. Inside of here, you can go to Content, and there is already a starter content. I highly recommend you to start with this because it has a lot of examples you can take a look at. So you can go to Add to Project, and as soon as you do that, you will have a lot of assets in your project. So let's take a look at what assets we have. Inside the starter content, you have different folders like architecture, where you have static meshes. We will take a look at those later. Audio, blueprints, HDR maps, materials, props, and particles. Now, what I want to do here is to use some of this architecture to lay down the basis of my house here. The way you work with Unreal is with 3D models. So with the starter content pack that we got, we already have an architecture folder that we can use. So what I can do is to drag this here. Now, make sure you have the snapping options here so that when I rotate, I snap to 10 degrees and everything will snap to the grid. So I can just go here, and with Alt click, I can just duplicate this one. You can have 2 doors if you want, or you can Control Space. And what you can do is to change this for another window. If I click on here and click on the object, you will see here that I have an arrow. As soon as I click on this, you will change it to another static mesh. If I double click on this, you will see the static mesh window. What is a static mesh? It's just a 3D model. You can either create it inside Unreal or any other 3D modeling application like Blender, 3D Studio Max, or Maya. The static mesh can have collision and can have a material. Let's close this. Let's try to decorate our environment. Let's try to Alt click to duplicate another time. And if we want some other walls, we can, for example, put this one here. But you see, this one is taller, so I don't really want to use this one. You already have the sizes here. I can either drag this wall and put it here. And let's see it snaps. It does. So I can just go here and Alt click to duplicate this and put it in position. Alt click. And if you want, you can also put this to 100 and this will snap easier. I can rotate this and then go back to 10. There you go. And now you have a little wall you can use. Okay, or you can just go back here and you can just leave it like that. Now if we play our game, you will see that we have a house here. So I can go here and I have a little house. Now this is too small, so what I will do is to move this thing here, and by holding Alt, I will duplicate these meshes. I will do it one more time, just so that I have more space to work with inside the room. And now what I can do is to move this thing here. And there you go. Now we have a wall. What I can do here is actually change this. So I can go to modeling. I can go to my cube grid. Actually, before we do that, make sure you click here. Okay, I already click it, but make sure you click it so that you can modify the existing static mesh. And now we can press E and you will create a floor. Click accept. And there you go. So now we have a little house without a roof. So what I can do now is to create a roof using the modeling tools. So let's add a roof to our house. We can just go to the modeling mode and create a box here. Click here, click anywhere in your map and click accept. Now I will move the box into a position where I want my roof to be. So I will just do something like this. And then I will go to the poly edit. You can just click on one face and make sure you have the face selection here. Otherwise you won't be able to click it, and just move it just like this. Do the same for this one. You can just select this face. And now you can put the thickness of your roof. In my case, I want to move it a little bit down. Just like that, not too much. So now what I will do is to insert an edge loop. So I will put it more or less here. Click done. And now I will select this edge and travel here to select the other edge by holding shift, and I can select both of them. And now I can just go up like this. Just like that. So you see that there is a gap here. We can fix this. We can go to this face and just move it down. Just like that. And we can do the same here. Put the same face and move it down. There you go. Now we have a little roof for our building. Let's click accept. And what you want to do now is to close this gap. So let's do that now. So the next thing I want to do is to add a wall. So what I will do is to select these meshes here, select all of them, and make sure I have my snapping to 100. And I can just duplicate this. And I can duplicate again, just in case. I don't need these ones here. I can delete those. I can do the same here. I can select all of this and duplicate it. There you go. And now if I want, I can just change one of these. For example, I can put a window. I can press Control Space to open the content drawer and put the window here. Or it could be I want it here. I can just press this icon and I will have the window here. I can do the same here if I want it. There you go. Now we have some windows here. The next thing I need to do, I need to duplicate this. So what I will do is to press Alt and go down again. And I will go to the box 2, which is my roof, and hide it. And what I will do is go to modeling, duplicate to create a new mesh, accept, And now this will be a new mesh. How do I know that? If I go here, you will see that I have my roof here and another roof here. Now what I can do is to go to the poly edit, shift click here, and I can just move it up, just like that, just so that I can have my boolean. Next, I will hide this with H, and I will select all of this, all the parts of the roof, just like that, and also the second floor. And I will put merge here, and as a new object, and delete the inputs. Click accept, and now this will be a whole new mesh combined. So what I can do now is go back to my box here, and I can click here and click here, and then I can go to mesh boolean, and I can put the difference, either b minus a or a minus b, which is what you want. So now that you have this, you don't need the inputs, so click accept, and now your temporary roof is gone. You can go back to your box 2, and now you have a little house with a roof. Now let's play our game to see how it feels like. We play here, we can enter the house, and now it's a little bit dark. So if we want, we can try to add some lights. So let's try to do that now. Before we add the lights, I want to put some materials in this. What is a material? It's very easy, I will show you. If I open the content drawer with Control Space, you will see here in the starter content, I have some materials I can use. So if I want to preview how it looks like, I can just drag and drop this one and place it here. Let's say I just want to use this spring in all my walls. You will see here in the right that in the details panel, you have a material that is using this asset. You can just go here, place it, and it will change the material. So what I can do is select all of those, just like that. Basically all the walls. Here I can also use the outliner if I want it. There you go. That should be all of them. And now I can just go to materials, and I can just use this arrow. And now all my assets are using the same material. Now there is a little bit of an issue here, and what you're seeing here, it's called C-depth. When one object is actually in the same position as the other. So what we can do is to check all of them and move them a little bit. And just like that, your problem is gone, and this part is also fixed. So now what I want to do is to add some materials into the roof. Maybe I can use like some wood, like this one, or maybe something like this. This one should work, but as you can see, it's very big. So we're going to add some UVs. We're going here to the modeling tab, and then we will go down until we find the UVs, and we will put the project. Projecting UVs will basically project the model into a 2D plane. So what we can do is to actually put a box projection, so we can also get this part. And if you want to see how your UVs look like, you can go to the checkerboard, and you will see the size of them. What you're looking for is basically you want this to be a square. So what you can do is to move it around. For example, in the X direction, you want them to be a little bit wider. This part, you can leave it like that. Let's go back here to the original material so we can take a look at how our wood will look like. And then what we can do is to change the scale. So now our texture is too big, so we can, for example, put 5 by 5. And that should make things better. Let's try 10 by 10. That's a little bit too much. Let's go 5 by 5. Anyway, we're not gonna look at it that much. So let's accept. And if I want it, let's go back to our selection mode to have more space in the screen. Control space here, and I can just put another brick if I want it. I could do that. Or I can put, for example, this one. Or maybe this one is fine. It's just that it's too big. So I will go back to my modeling tools again. And this time I'm going for layout. And inside of layout, I will change the repack mode to transform. And I will just change the scale to 2 to make them smaller. Maybe 3. Yeah, something like that could work. And just like that, I can just accept. And now I have my roof and the walls of my house with the material. I can do the same for this floor. For example, I can put this ground here if I want it, or I can put this cobblestone. You get the idea. So let's try to put something a little bit different here. For example, some wood that we can have inside. So what I will do next is to separate this mesh into a new one so I don't have the same material everywhere. So let's separate the mesh that is here from the rest. And it's very easy. We can just go to the modeling tab and then go to triangle selection. Then I can just paint here all the polygons that I want to separate, but that's a lot of work. Let's click clear here. And instead of using the brush, I will use all within the angle. Let's just try with an angle of 10 and see what you get. So if you click here, you will see that all the polygons are selected. I can do the same for this just by clicking. I don't need to hold shift or anything. Just clicking here and here. And make sure you got everything. And now what you can do is to basically separate. So if you separate, you will create a new mesh. Let's accept. And now this mesh is different from this one. So what we can do now is let's go back to our selection, control space to open the content drawer. And now we can put something like, for example, these cobblestones. Or maybe if you want, maybe this one or this one, anything you want. Let's just go for the cobblestone for now. So just like that, now we have different materials applied into different sections of our mesh. I could try to do the same for this one, but I noticed that I don't want it, so I will go to the cube grid and I will just press Q to delete these parts. And I will do the same here and do the same here. There you go. Click accept. And now you got a problem where a material is not being used. So what you can do is to go here to the attributes, go to material editor, and you will see that you have 2 materials. Go here and delete this one. Click accept. And now only one material will be applied to your mesh. And just like that, you can separate different meshes. If you want to combine those, you already know how to. But for now, this is good enough for us. If we play our game, you have like a little ground where you can walk. And then you go to the inside and you have a little house. So what we will do now is just to add some props, add some lights, and show you more features you can use in Unreal. Adding props to your environment can really make a big difference. Let's see how we can add some of them. If you press Ctrl space to go to your content drawer, you can go to props, and here you will have the starter content props. Let's add some frames to this. So let's look for the door frame and try to put it in position. Just like that, move it a little bit, and it should look fine. We can also add a door if we want. So let's just add a door here. And you will see that the pivot point is actually on the right place, or you can just remove the snapping to not be too precise. And there you go. Because the pivot point it's in the corner, if I press E to rotate, my door will just open like this. So let's just keep it open for now. Let's do the same for the windows. You can find some window frames and put it here. Let's just move them just like this and put them in position. There you go. It should be good enough. Let's do the same here. Alt and click will copy the window. It looks like it's a little bit up, so I can just move it down a little bit and also move it down a little bit. There you go. I can do the same for this one. I can just go here and duplicate by holding Alt. And just like that, I have another window. And let's do the next one. I will show you a really cool trick. If you hold Alt and move, you will duplicate. But if you hold Shift, you will move the camera with you. So I can just put it here. And looks like everything is working. Let's try to put some props inside. So what I'm going to show you is you can use, for example, a chair here. Rotate a little bit. You can put a table here. You can put another chair if you want. And Alt click and put another chair. So what if I want to create different sections of this? Like, for example, I want to use the same assets here. I can go here, select all of them, and with Alt and click, I can just copy. And this can work, but it can take a long time if you have a really big environment. So what I will show you is how to create instances. Let's select all of those, right click, and go to Level, Create Pack Level Actor. You can just leave the default settings like this. The pivot point can be in the center, minimum Z axis, which it means it will be kind of like in the table. Let's just click OK. And now let's create a new folder called Instances. Just put a name, and I will call it Mass Table. And I can also save the blueprint here. And there you go. We will take a look at blueprints later. But what you have now, if you take a look at this, is now you have a different actor. So what you can do is to put this chair here. You can move it around. You can duplicate this one and put it here and do the same here. Now, what if you want to make some changes? You can go here, go to Level, Edit, and everything will turn gray except for the actor you're editing. So now you can put some other things. For example, you can put this statue here. And let's say you don't want 3 chairs, you only want 2. You can delete one of them. And then you can just right click, Level, Commit. And just like that, all your items will be updated. Awesome. So now let's keep adding more stuff. For example, some frame pillars we can use here. If you don't see, let's go back to Alt 3. This will change the viewport mode. So by default is lit. You can go to unlit mode or wireframe or detail lining. Let's just go to unlit mode because our environment is really dark for now. If I want, I can just make this one bigger, just like this. And I can just duplicate this part and do the same here. I don't see it from the outside, so it doesn't matter. What else I can do? I can put some lamps. So for example, I want to put some lamps here. And then later I will bother with the light. So I can just put some lamps by holding an Alt Shift. I can just duplicate them. Okay, let's see what else we can do. For example, we can put this corner here if we want it. For example, here. I don't know if that makes sense, but uh, it's a weird corner. Anyway, what else you can do? There's not much. So let's add a couple of more props. So for example, this one, you can put the shelf, rotate, and you can put some stuff like, for example, this little statue here. You can change the size by pressing R, rotate it, and you can do the same here. And this one, you can leave it empty if you want. And just like that, you can have a lot of props. So now, if we play our game, let's run into our house, you will see it feels much better. You have a little bit of uh, the space is filled with props, and it just feels nicer. So what we're gonna do now is to work on the lights because our environment is quite dark, and it's hard for you to see when you are inside the house. So to add lights to our environment is super easy. Let's go inside first, and you can just go to the plus icon, go to lights, and you have different lights. Directional light is like the sun, we already have it there. The skylight, we already have it. But the point light and the spotlight are really useful. And the red light to simulate some lights coming from the window. So it's very easy to use. We can just go to plus, lights, and grab the point light. And you will see that automatically my environment is lit. Now I can change the intensity, for example, like 3. And I can also change the light color to something like more warmer. And then I can change the radius of this. There you go. And you see you have different settings you can play with. You can also change the temperature and put it cooler or hotter. I can just leave it like this. And if you don't like the pond light, I will just put it here. And let's try another light. Let's go here to plus, lights, and put a spotlight. A spotlight may be something you want, so I will rotate this. And now I will put my spotlight here. And this is more accurate to the type of light you're having. So if I go here, I can just change the radius and change the intensity to 3, and then change the light color. There you go. Now, depends on what you want to do. You want to have different lights. In my case, I feel like the spotlight works fine. If you want to lit your environments, you can also press L and click, and you will be able to put the spotlight in the place. So I could just Alt and click and put all my lights, but there is a better way to do it, and that is by creating blueprints, which are like prefabs that you can only change once and all the instances will be updated. So let's do that now. To create a blueprint is very easy. Let's go to our content drawer, and inside my first project folder, I will right click, and here you will see a bunch of options to create different assets. A blueprint class is very common, so that's why it's here. You can just click on it, and you will have different types of blueprint actors. An actor is the base class, but you also have the character, if you want to put a character in your game, a pawn, a player controller, and all that stuff. If you want to learn more about blueprints, we have a complete tutorial on blueprints for free you can watch. So let's go to actor first. An actor is basically any class that I can put inside my level, and I will call it BP underscore my light. Let's open it. And you will see this window here. This window is the blueprint editor, and it's very similar to what you have here because you have a viewport and you can preview your assets. In the left, you have all the components here. And in the right, you have the properties. You have the class defaults and the class settings. So let's go to add a component. What we want to add, it's a static mesh component. So if I click on this one and then go to add static mesh and then click static mesh here, I will create a static mesh. But I need to select this one here. And while selecting it, I can just click the use selected asset from content browser. And there you go. Now we have a light. The next thing we want to add, it's a spotlight. So let's add the spotlight. And now we will rotate this. And going up, just like that. We can change the intensity, something like 1000 maybe. We can change the attenuation radius. But it will be much easier if we check it in the blueprint. So now let's just delete this. And let's grab our blueprint. And you will see that I already have my lamp with the light. So what I can do is to change the light color, for example, to something warmer. Compile and see how it looks like. Now this radius is too big, so I can change the radius to something like maybe 300 or 250, and the intensity I can reduce it to half. Compile. Let's just reduce the radius to 200 and maybe a little bit warmer. There you go. So now you will see that you have your light here. You can also move it a little bit to the right and up if you want to have a better result. So now I can just delete all of those. And I can just change, update this one. If I want to put more, I can just add another light, just like that. Let's add some more in the left. There you go. A little bit more here and another one here. Awesome. Now, Unreal has an option for global illumination. Unreal Engine 5 especially, it's very nice with this indirect lighting. So if I put something like 50, for example, the light will bounce in all the roof. So that's an extreme example, but if you want, you can put something like 2 or 3, and everything will bounce. Like, for example, like the light, it's like coming up, and then it touches the roof, and the roof with this normal angle will bounce the light, and the next time the light touches something, it will be dimmer and dimmer until you lose the light intensity. The indirect lighting, it's exactly that. You will increase how much intensity this bounce lighting has. Let's try our game to see how it looks like. Now, my starting point, I don't like it to be that far, so maybe we can change it. And now we have some lights here, which is pretty cool. Let's see what else we can add to our game. What I want to do now is to make the player to press a button and then open the door. So let's close the door first. Let me rotate this and put it on 0 degrees, or you can just press 0 here and you will have it on the default settings. So let's use the level blueprint. What is a level blueprint? It's any kind of scripting that you want to use in your level. How can you open it? You can go here and open level blueprint. And just like that, you're using the level blueprint. What you want to do first is get a reference of our door here. So I can just go here, right click, and then create a reference. The next thing you want to do is to basically change the rotation. So let's try it out. The way to do this is you can put a set actor relative location, sorry, rotation. And you can see that it already selects the door that I have, so I don't really need to click on it. The reason is I already click on this one in the level. And let's just put -70. Now I want a way to activate it. So I will put E, F, and just to try it out, let's see what happens. Let's play the game. Let's just run and press F, and the door opens. Well, it opens really harsh. So we can smooth this out by using a timeline. So let's go to the level, and let's go to timeline and create a timeline. Let's call it rotation or just time. You don't really need to put a name here. Double click on this and you will see this. Do not panic, it's very easy to use. The first thing is we need to track a value. So let's track here. Let's track a float, which is any kind of number that use decimal values. So we will call it rotation alpha. You will see that I have a curve editor here, so I can just right click, add a key, and right click here and add a key. The first key I'm gonna select and I'm gonna put the time to 0 and a value of 0. And the next one is going to be a time of 1 and a value of 1. If you press F, you will focus on the selection. The next thing I wanna do is to change the length to 1 so that all my animation goes from 0 to 1. And if I want, I can just select all of those and maybe just change the curve type. So maybe put auto, just like that. I will have a smooth animation. Let's go back here to our level, go to the event graph. And when we press F, we will play this. And then we need the rotation alpha. So what we need to do is a lerp. So we can put a lerp rotator. And the initial value will be 0. And the last value will be -70. And the alpha will be here. And we will lerp between these two values during this time. So let's go back here and put the rotation value here. Always connect the same color. The next thing I'm gonna do is to connect the white node here, the white cable here, because the white one is the main flow of the execution of this code. So what we're doing is pressing F. A timeline will happen. It will lerp between these two values, and it will assign a new rotation to our door. Well, let's try it out. Let's right click and play from here. Now we press F. And nothing happens. Let's see why. Oh, we press and we didn't connect it here. And as you can see, if I press Ctrl C, I cannot connect these two at the same time. And the reason is, this is a sequential way of programming. It's a step 1, a step 2, a step 3. It cannot be like a step 1 and 2 at the same time because the code doesn't know which one to play first. So what we're gonna do is to put the press on play and then the update here. And now let's compile and play again. Press F, and now our door opens. That's great. Now what I need to do, it's a way to only press F when I'm close, because when I'm far and I press F, I can open the door from here. And it's not really what I want. So let's go back to our level blueprint and let's create a variable here. Let's click plus and name it can open door. Can the player open the door? So in order to do that, we need a trigger. So we're going to the green plus icon, go to volumes and look for a trigger volume. Let's go here and let's just put it just like this. There you go. You can scale this up if you want. Well, let's just say this is enough. Or maybe make it a little bit smaller, just so that you can only open the door here. There you go. Something like that. So while selecting my trigger, I can go back to my level blueprint. I can right click and then add event, collision, and I will add on actor begin overlap. If my actor is in the trigger volume, I will grab this thing, this boolean, and I will set this to true. You can open the door. Let's create another event. If I add the collision on end overlap, you cannot longer open the door. So I can drag this variable, press set, and just like that, I can change the boolean. The boolean is just a variable that allows you to have a value either 0 or 1 or true or false. So just like that, I need to press F and I have a condition here. It's very easy. I can press tab to select the actions for this blueprint and I can tap branch. I can connect this one. And if it's true, we're gonna play this. So we're gonna drag the variable and we're gonna connect it here. If the player can open the door, then play the animation. Now let's play and try it out. Now we are far, pressing F, I cannot open it. I'm close, press F, and I can open the door and I can enter, which is great. Before we wrap up this tutorial, I want to show you a super cool feature that you will love. Let's find the sunlight. And the sunlight in our Unreal Engine is called the directional light. So I will type in the outliner directional, and you will choose the directional light. Here, you can change the light shaft occlusion. So I can click here, and as soon as you do that, you will see that you have occlusion in the distance, and also you have the bloom. If you want to rotate the sunlight, you can use the rotation values here, or either click on your sunlight here, which is this one, and just rotate around. But there is a better way to do it. You can use Control L and move it. And as you can see, now my sunlight has some kind of gut ray. So what you can do now is use the window we have and try to position the light by pressing Control L. And just like that, you can just create like a nice little sunlight that comes from the window. So let's save it and let's try to play our game. So we go here, we open the door with F, and now we have a gut ray coming from here. And you can change the settings, but this is a really cool feature I really want to show you because a lot of people love it. Myself, I love it the first time I saw it, and I feel like you will also feel the same. Thank you so much for watching. We have go through a lot here. We have go through how to download the engine, how to launch it, how to place objects, how to move around, how to model something like a little house, how to use blueprints to make a door open, how to use blueprints to create prefab so we can decorate things faster, and also the prefabs for our objects, this should give you a great idea of how to get started. We have a lot of tutorials available for you if you want to dig deeper, like modeling, environment art, blueprints, VFX. Make sure to check them out. I'm Mao, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.